Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. There are many ways to get to Rome. We had come from the north, so we arrived by train. For us, staying near the Roma Termini station was a great central location because there was a lot of travel options for us. It was also interesting to me to see how many birds come there. They all like to circle at dusk every day. The first missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints arrived in Rome in 1849. Due to the fact that there were so many devout and loyal Catholics in Italy, can't imagine why, the work in Italy has been slow, but it has been progressing. In the 1990s, the church bought an old olive farm just outside the city walls. In 2008, when it was announced that a temple was to be built in Italy, the purchase turned out to be very fortuitous to the church, because Rome doesn't allow new constructions on places with historical value. But since the land had always been an olive farm, there had never been any significant structure on the property. The temple was dedicated for use in March of 2019, and in addition to the temple, has a beautiful visitor center. When we went inside the visitor center, we were greeted by some sister missionaries who showed us a beautiful stained glass mural that emphasized different aspects of Jesus Christ. The focal point of the visitor center is the 12 apostles surrounded by the Jesus Christ statue, each one of them with a symbol representing who they are. Above the statues is a mural depicting the lambs resting at the coming of the Christ, which is portrayed with Christ with open arms pointing towards the temple. Public transportation in Rome is quick and efficient. We bought an all-day pass at the newspaper store. Going by metro and bus, we were able to get anywhere where we needed to be.
We're at Pasta Imperiale, a little pasta place. And we're already on our second plate of food here. I have cacio e pepe, which is a traditional one. Yep. And Denise over there just got gnocchi with pesto sauce.
While riding the bus, if you can, I always suggest you sit by the window. As we cross the ancient Tiber River, you can see Castel Sant'Angelo, which is Hadrian's mausoleum and was used as a fortress by the Pope.
Yeah, this is where he was stabbed.
Largo de Torre Argentina is where the great Caesar was murdered. Today it is a cat sanctuary. This monument, which is also the tomb of the unknown soldier in Italy, represents the unification of Italy in 1861 by King Emmanuel I. The bus continued into the heart of Rome, passing the ancient Roman Forum.
Should be able to walk through it. I see the Colosseum over there too. I'm sure there'll be a potty somewhere around here. In fact, I think I know there's one in the forum. Go.
One of the most popular places to visit in Rome is the Colosseum. Due to the long lines that sometimes form, we decided to take a tour that would allow us to skip the lines into the Colosseum.
They said, I go to the Colosso. Colosso was the colossal statue of Nero. That's why, still today, we call Colosseum the amphitheater Christ. That Nero committed the Colosseum.
Entering the Colosseum, we were greeted by a giant statue of Moloch, who was a pagan god that used to kill children. Kind of strange considering the Colosseum is controlled by the Vatican, but the idea of the Colosseum at all was kind of a strange concept for us to begin with. When you walk through the Colosseum, you will see that the stones have a lot of holes. This is because in ancient times, in addition to being made out of marble, the Colosseum had a lot of metal. This metal was looted over time and used in other buildings. As many as 80,000 spectators used to come to the Colosseum. As such, the Colosseum has many entrances and stairways that allow for quick movement of large amounts of people. The reason why the Colosseum had so many spectators is that it was all free.
Nothing to pay. Why?
The merchants would pay. It was a sponsorship.
It was a kind of propaganda.
Yeah.
You know? Exactly. So, Romans had nothing to pay because the emperors offered their propaganda. And of course, you know.
There was a strict seating chart at the Colosseum. The closer to the action, the more important you were. Most citizens were on the second level, which was meant for the commoners. People attended the Colosseum for the free food, exotic animals that were displayed, and of course the fighting. The Colosseum is made up of two half-domes put together. The Colosseum had an overall kind of sadness to it. It is estimated that millions of people died in the Colosseum. The way the events would work is that the day started out with demonstrations of wild beasts, which would progress into amateur fights that were probably slaves. The main event was at night when the gladiators or ritual killing of prisoners took place. The stage was very flexible and could be changed for any number of different settings. According to the writings, one time the Colosseum was even flooded and they had a navy battle with model ships. The emperor was the deciding factor on if someone was to live or die. Thumbs up, you lived. Thumbs down, you died. This was, of course, a spectacle, and the audience was expected to participate. So I imagine there was a lot of shouting down from the seats.
AJ.
AJ, okay, AJ. Do you know why they installed the Eternal City? AJ?
Yeah, because it started in around like 500 BC, and then...
On the lower level, the action intensifies. Through the Victory Gate, the winners would leave with their life intact. On the opposite side, the Gate of Death led to the road that went directly to the cemetery. The emperor, of course, had the best seat in the house and directed everything the spectacle that the Colosseum was. Sitting with the emperor would be the emperor himself, his queen and concubines, and also the 7 Vestal Virgins, that were in charge of keeping the flames lit in Rome. These were considered the symbols of Rome. The Colosseum had good plumbing, complete with many toilets. The only bad part is the toilets back then were communal. After the fall of Rome, the Colosseum eventually went into decline, and people started to loot the building so that they could use the material in other buildings. In about the year 720, Romulus and Remus were born to a Vestal Virgin who did not want them and threw them into the Tiber River. The legend says that a she-wolf raised them up to adulthood on the Palatine Hill. This would be the same hill that Romulus would use to start the city he named after himself. In order to portray legitimacy to the throne, all the kings and emperors of Rome had a palace on the Palatine Hill. Today, the palace is mostly in ruins, but walking around, you can see how large the structure once was. This structure would have been a pool which was heated and had several alcoves for sitting and was surrounded by many exotic plants and flowers. The floors of what used to be the steam baths are warped from the centuries of hot steam that used to rise up through the stones. Back in the day, the steam bath could have held hundreds of people at the same time.
Basically the throne room.
The legend says that it was near this fountain that Nero played his fiddle while Rome burned. The only housing structure that remains today is a house that was kept up by a family of one of the popes. From the top of the Palatine Hill, you can see the Roman Forum. The Roman Forum was the center of life for ancient Rome. The Forum contained all the most important buildings that sustained the Roman Empire. Walking into the Roman Forum is like going back into time. It feels as though you are actually going back into those ancient days of the ancient Roman Empire. The Arch of Titus was built in 81 AD and celebrated the fall of Jerusalem that took place in 70 AD. If you look close at the arch, you can see the Romans carrying off the spoils of war, including the sacred menorah. The overall layout and theme of the Roman Empire was dominance. The crowded buildings come together to show a strength of force and unity that was the Roman Empire. This building was the main prison and was used for keeping hold of the most important prisoners. The Roman Empire was built on the Senate, which was housed in this building. It was in this building that the laws that would govern the Republic were decided. The Vestal Virgins were a group of women who were supposed to be virgins, and their main job was to keep a torch forever lit to the gods. Girls between the ages of 6 and 10 were chosen for this position and were expected to serve there for 30 years. The position was considered an honor, but a difficult burden to maintain. Romulus and Remus's mother was a Vestal Virgin. She probably threw her sons in the river because it was considered a dishonor, and death would come to all those who dishonored the position of the Vestal Virgin. As bad as history tries to portray Caesar, the truth is he was very popular. When he was murdered, the people rebelled and there was civil war. In order to quell some of that rebellion, the remains of Caesar were buried in the Forum and enshrined in a temple. People still come today and leave offerings unto Caesar. Though the splendor of the ancient Roman Empire is gone, the ancient ruins mix with the modern. History denotes the past, but as people stroll through the streets and the music plays, life goes on. From the Forum, you can look to the modern buildings that surround it and know that Rome continues to be the eternal city. One of the eternal places of Rome is its Pantheon. The Pantheon started its life in about the year 100 as a temple built by Hadrian. Outside the plaza there's an Egyptian obelisk. When you first get inside the Pantheon, the first thing that strikes your interest is the dome, which is still the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome. The big hole in the middle is known as the oculus. The oculus is open to the outside, and there are little drain holes on the inside on the floor so that when it rains, the water can drain out. This architectural masterpiece is achieved by the perfect dimensions inside the Pantheon. The word Pantheon means many, and the building is now dedicated to Mother Mary and all the Christian martyrs. In addition to the martyrs, there are some very famous tombs, such as the Renaissance painter Raphael.
See, it says Father of the Patriots.
They're George Washington.
Yep.
And behind you is the very first king of Italy.
This is the tomb of Umberto I of Italy, who changed Italy from feudalism to modernism. And underneath is the Queen Margherita, who the Margherita pizza is named after. It represents the colors of Italy.
It may sound funny, but one of my favorite things to do in a new country is visit McDonald's. It is a little like home, but then you find things that you would never find at your local McDonald's.
It's my fancy drink. AJ's eating a cheeseburger. Denise got a chicken specialty sandwich, a Big Mac, some French fries, and a special bacon and cheese. Oh, and these are fried olives. I'm gonna eat one. Very good. They have meat in them. Very nice.
Surrounded by water, Rome has many beautiful fountains. The most famous of the fountains is, of course, the Trevi Fountain.
Soon I will have to go home, but I did make it here to the Trevi Fountain. I'm going to do the traditional throwing the coin. I have a coin and I'm supposed to make 3 wishes, so here goes nothing. I'm here sitting at the Spanish Steps. It may look like a fountain to you, but this fountain boat is actually the backdrop to the Spanish Steps, which are just over there. And what I just learned is the reason why they're called the Spanish Steps is because we're near the Spanish embassy. Because Spain has 2 embassies here, one for Italy and one for the Vatican.
One thing I also learned by climbing the steps of the Spanish Steps is that if you look behind you, there is a great view of the city. Well, the Spanish Steps end my tour through Rome. I hope you enjoyed reliving a few of the highlights of our time in Rome. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Rome truly is an eternal city.